Penn State enters Saturday's matchup against a winless UCLA team as heavy favorites, so understandably, no one saw a 42-37 upset coming. The Nittany Lions left all Los Angeles stunned, the playoff hopes in doubt, and fans calling for significant changes to the program. Welcome back to Coach Central. I'm your host, Andre Monroe, alongside specialist Avery Hill, who covers Penn State football as an editor for the Daily Collegian, and Isaiah Maldonado, who covers Penn State football as the lead beat reporter for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Today, we are breaking down how exactly this upset unfolded and why it may just go down as one of the worst losses in the James Franklin era. So let's get right into the film. First play, we have Nico right here, scrambling, 3rd and 7, 21 and 27. All these missed tackles, the defense, really not a good showing from the Jim Knowles defense here. And this was a critical moment in the game. Penn State did not deliver, which was a constant theme throughout the entire game. I'll pass it to Isaiah first. How would you assess Penn State's defense, not only on this particular play, but in the whole game overall?
I mean, Andre, just looking at this play, I feel like it tells a lot of the story of Penn State throughout this entire game. If we look at the first half, Penn State played sloppy. There was a lot of ineffective blitzes, missed coverage, poor tackling in the open field. And I can really only attribute that to the fact that I feel like they severely underestimated their opponents. And the second half, we kind of saw a bit of a fire light underneath them. They not nearly as bad as the 27 first half points that they let up, but still not enough to be able to get the job done. If we look at this play right here, they played with a 7 down front, 1 drop back into coverage, but still not really able to get the pressure. And I think Nico really shocked them. And with his play so far for UCLA this year, we've obviously seen what UCLA did beforehand, 0-4. I saw a lot of people say they had the possibility to lose out the rest of the year, and though I thought that was kind of unlikely, it speaks a testament to how bad and how much this team was actually struggling. But he finished with 128 rushing yards. He finished with 3 touchdowns on the ground. He was able to impact the game both in the air and on the ground. And Penn State's defensive line is supposed to be their strongest asset on the defensive side of the ball. Denai Dennis-Sutton, Xavier Gilliam, Alonzo Ford, Zane Durant. These are playmakers for Penn State on the defensive line. They're supposed to be able to stop the run. They're supposed to be able to stop those quick passes. And it just wasn't going for them whatsoever. I think they missed Tony Rojas a lot, objectively speaking. I feel like Don DeLuca, he split a couple of snaps throughout the year so far at the Will and Mike position, but his absence was definitely missed in both the short passing defense and the run defense. It was not great for Penn State.
Yeah, so Penn State's defense did not have a great showing all game, but another critical moment in the game, 4th and 2, you need the touchdown, and their decision on the most important play of the game is a 4th and 2 power read to a wide receiver when you have Katron Allen, you have Nick Singleton. Avery, we were both at the game. What do you make of this play call in a critical moment on 4th and 2?
Where do I start? I mean, again, we were at the game. I watched it. Power read to a wide receiver, who, by the way, lost 10 or so yards on a jet sweep before the game. Drew Aller obviously wasn't going to make that play. That's a long 3 yards to get. Obviously, UCLA sends cover 0. Everyone's going. Drew Aller said after the game that UCLA made a big play, but it was a bad play call. Obviously, he's not going to say it, but it was a bad play call. Penn State really ruined their chance to just take over this game. Obviously, they had the chance to really end the upset hopes for UCLA, and it didn't happen. That was just a ridiculous, abysmal, whatever words you want to use. That was a terrible play call. Just terrible. Andre, what's next?
I'm going to pass it to Isaiah. I just want to have a quick thought right here. It just baffles me how, you're going to go up against a new coaching staff, new offensive coordinator, new head coach, and in these critical moments, you start the season with national championship hopes. And against UCLA, these are the types of game-making decisions that we're going with when, again, you compare, of course, going to the game, Penn State with a number 7 ranking, UCLA winless 0-4. It's just, I think as a coaching thing, the players, of course, came up short. But to me, the result of this game was because of coaching. Isaiah, I'm going to let you respond to that. And overall, your thoughts on the game.
I mean, it really was just rough in totality. I feel like that's the best way to describe it. Penn State's offense has looked better than it has during a lot of the past, this season, and that's saying a lot if we're being for real. The rushing offense was not as dominant. I think they kind of abandoned the run way too early on to only end the game with barely over 150 rushing yards. I believe it was somewhere around 31 attempts. I think when you have a prolific duo as Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, you need to fall back on that a little bit more, especially when the passing game has been inconsistent. But to your point about the coaching staff, it's just, when do we allow these talented players, these 5-star, these 4-star recruits to really go out there and show what they can do. The passive play calling with Drew Aller that has kind of created the stigma that he's a bad quarterback. When you look at him from a talent perspective, there's no doubt in my mind that he is a quarterback who is capable of making these plays, but he just simply isn't allowed to. Koto Nicki was so dynamic with his play calling last year, and I feel like that's really toned down this year. And then Knowles with his defense, we've heard it all about from the rest of the players, how it's an NFL-style defense that allows them to play more free. But overall, they haven't been able to put all the pieces together. They look lost sometimes, just missed assignments, struggling in the open field, not being able to get those gap pressures. They don't look comfortable playing on offense or defense, and I can only attribute that to a coordinator problem. Avery, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of what you said. I mean, I think the running game, like, even they did run the ball, like, I think it was 2nd and 10 before that, to Nick Singleton, who has not been good. He averaged, like, 1.7 yards per carry. Katron Allen is averaging 7 yards a carry, everyone. 7 yards a carry. He has, about 50 less carries than probably the top running back in the country, and Ahmad Hardy out of Mizzou. Mm-hmm. Like, the play calling has been really bad. They have not been able to get Drew Aller in rhythm. Granted, he's had some bad throws. He's had his moments. Sure. But I really don't think that they've really gotten it together. I think even if you look at the defensive perspective, I think that they have not been able to really, fit into Jim Knowles' scheme early on. So,
yeah, a lot of good points by Isaiah and Avery there. I want to bring up something that's been a heavy talking point recently among the Nittany Nation. Should James Franklin be fired? Me personally, I don't think so. But you can't deny these stats. He's 4-21 against top 10 teams, and then 1-18 against top 10 teams, specifically in the Big Ten. Now, again, I think you can't find a replacement that is on James Franklin's level, so I would keep James Franklin. There's a lot of great assets that James Franklin brings to Penn State, but overall, it does beg the question, and I'll ask you guys, should James Franklin be fired? Avery, we'll start with you.
I say no. I think there's so many reasons. One, his buyout, if they fired him right now, is $56 million. Even if you fire him his contract goes until 2031. Even if you fire him in 2029, that's about $23 million in buyout. That's still a lot of money. That's a problem. I also think in the sense of who is better. Like, of course, his record against top 10 teams is a problem. His record against Big Ten top 10 teams is a problem. But I don't think that you really upgrade. I think there's a short list of guys who is upgrade from James Franklin, and most of them aren't coaching anymore. Nick Saban, John Gruden, like you can maybe ask if Dabo Swinney can really pull this together out of current coaches, but I don't really think there's much of any replacements that are better than James Franklin.
I have to agree with you in terms of the buyout. It's ridiculous. Even if they waited until December for it to drop a little bit, they'd still be paying upwards of $48 million to be able to just to buy out his contract. But if we're talking logistically, just in terms of should they fire him, the question for Penn State has always been, are they able to beat these elite level teams? Do we actually have to question if now we're able to stand up against regular Big Ten competition? And UCLA, for all intents and purposes, wasn't even a good Big Ten team. I'm of the belief that James Franklin has reached his ceiling here at Penn State. There is no doubt in my mind that he's accomplished some great things while he's been here. Second most winningest coach in program history, aside from Joe Paterno. But when we look at the numbers, you cannot consistently fall in the face of adversity and against elite competition as consistently, and now also lose against competition that is far beneath you. I think it's time for a change of scenery for him.
Yeah, again, I would say no, because the next coach would have to fulfill the promises that James Franklin didn't fulfill, which is national championship, because James Franklin, the bare minimum is 10-2. Not a lot of coaches in overall college football, let alone the Big Ten, can do that. So that's why I wouldn't fire him. But we'll just have to see. Penn State's next matchup is this Saturday against Northwestern. It'll be interesting to see how the Nittany Lions bounce back. But that's all we have for today. Stay tuned for more sports coverage, and thank you for watching.